Good evening, welcome to Voice of British Orthodoxy. I am, of course, Reader Lazar. Today's the 11th of February. We have two saints today. The icon for the second saint we'll be reading is on the right here. We did commemorate the first saint on the Celtic Saints website yesterday, so it should be worth mentioning that this is just a bonus entry. Our first entry is Saint Cædmon, and he is from the 7th century. A Northumbrian who is author of the first recorded poem in English. He is known as the father of English poetry. The only source of original information about St. Cædmon is from St. Bede the Venerable's Historia Ecclesiastica. St. Bede, of course, commemorated on the 25th of May, in which he relates that St. Cædmon was a lay brother who worked and cared for the animals at Whitby Abbey. One evening, while the monks were feasting, singing, and playing a harp, St. Cædmon left early to sleep with the animals because he knew no songs. St. Bede the Venerable implies that St. Cædmon felt he lacked the knowledge needed to compose the words to songs. While sleeping, Cædmon had a dream in which someone, quidam, approached him and asked him to sing Principium Creatorum, the beginning of created things. After first refusing to sing, Cædmon subsequently produced a short eulogistic poem praising God, the creator of heaven and earth. Upon awakening the next morning, Cædmon not only remembered everything he had sung in his dream, but added additional lines to his poem. After telling his foreman about this dream, he was taken immediately to see the abbess, believed to be St. Hilda, 17th of November, who closely questioned St. Cædmon about his dream. Satisfied that it was a gift from God, the abbess gave him a new commission as a test, this time for a poem based upon a passage of sacred history or doctrine. Upon returning the next morning with the requested poem, St. Cædmon was ordered to take monastic vows. The abbess then ordered her scholars to teach St. Cædmon sacred history and doctrine, which after a night of reflection, St. Cædmon would turn into the most beautiful poetry. According to St. Bede the Venerable, St. Cædmon was responsible for a great number of splendid vernacular poetic texts on a variety of Christian topics. After a long and zealous pious Christian life, St. Cædmon, having received a premonition of death, asked to be moved to the abbey's hospice where, having gathered his friends around him, he expired after receiving the Holy Eucharist, circa AD 680. In here he does have a hymn of creation, which, to be fair, I could probably... I'm pretty sure it's on here. The poem... Is it this? Forgive me. I think I mentioned yesterday, but he technically has I think he does have an icon. I'm pretty sure he has an icon. Ah, that's an icon. Yes, there's an icon here. That's fine. I will read the icon in English. I'm not going to attempt to read the other language. Now we should praise the Heaven King's guardian, the measure's might and his mind conception, work of the glorious Father, as we each wonder, eternal Lord, installed at the origin. He first created for men's sons heaven as a roof. Sorry about that. Holy Creator. Then Middle Earth, mankind's guardian, eternal Lord, afterward made the earth for man, Father Almighty. The earth for men, Father Almighty. There we go. The group chat entry is not quite as long, but it's still quite long. St. Cædmon of Whitby, monk, hymnographer, c. 680 AD. He is considered the earliest English poet whose name is known, a Northumbrian cowherd who cared for the animals at the double monastery, now known as Whitby Abbey, during the abbacy of St. Hilda. He was originally ignorant of the art of song, but learned to compose one night in the course of a dream. According to the 8th century Christian historian and St. Bede, he later became a zealous monk and accomplished an inspirational Christian poet. I knew I saw something. So, the Hare's Refuge, who runs the Saints of the Isle Substack, has actually provided us with a Troparion and Kontakion that I will, of course, leave in the description for you all. We bow down before thee, O holy monastic Father Cædmon, For by God-inspired song, thou didst proclaim the wonders of creation. Enlightened by divine grace, thou didst glorify the Creator in holy hymnody. Intercede with Christ our God, that our souls may be saved. The Kontakion is also sung in the second mode. Seeking the things which are above, thou didst turn away from the vanity of the world, O venerable Father. Singing of the Creator's glory, thou didst instruct the faithful to lift their minds unto heaven. Therefore intercede with Christ our God, who for all who honour thy holy memory. The next saint is Saint Abigail, also known as Gobnet, and also apparently known as Deborah, according to the group chat. But the book just says Gobnata and Gobnet. But yeah. Anyway, here's the thingy. According to legend, an angel appeared to Saint Gobnata one day and told her to leave home and keep her walking until she found 9 white deer. She saw 3 white deer at Clondrohid in County Cork and decided to follow them. Then at Ballymakira, she saw 6 white deer. Finally, at Ballyverney, she came upon 9 white deer grazing in a wood. 9 white deer grazing in a wood. There she was given land for a woman's monastery, inspired by her spiritual father, Saint Abban of Kill, Abban, County Lowis, who we will commemorate on the 16th of March. And he installed her as abbess. A holy well still exists there named for Saint Gobnata, the patron saint of Ballyvorney. She is venerated throughout Southern Ireland. There are churches dedicated to her in Waterford and Kerry. She is also revered in Scotland. The exact year of her repose is unknown, though it is most probably in the 6th century AD. Before we do read thingy, this is her icon. She is also again known as Abigail. Apparently she's also considered the patron of bees because Gobnata means honeybee, which is the equivalent of the Hebrew Deborah. Right, I'm going to scroll down so that you can read at the very least that. And then I'm going to read the entry in the book. Saint Abigail, bracket Deborah or Gobnet, abbess of Ballyverney, County Cork, Ireland, bracket 7th century AD. A holy well named after her still exists there. This is interesting. So she has the Troparion, which is sung in tone 3. I'm going to actually move this to... Okay, so the Troparion that's actually in the book, and the Kontakion that's in the book, goes... So Troparion of St. Gobnet, tone 3. As a spiritual child of the God-inspired Abban, thou didst worthily guide many into monastic virtue, most holy Gobnet. Wherefore we entreat thee to intercede for us, that we may be guided aright, and be found worthy of great mercy of Christ our God. Kontakion of St. Gobnet is sung in the Plagal first tone, also known as the Plagal first mode, or tone 5. Praise and honour are thy due, O physician of bodies and souls, most pious Gobnet, as thou, being blessed with the gift of healing, didst bring to many the wholeness and the peace of Christ, and pray now that our tormented souls may come to know the joy of godly healing. And then, of course, we do also have the tone 4 and tone 3 Kontakion and Troparion Kontakion respectively. So the next Troparion is sung in tone 4. By prayer and ascetic labour thou didst sanctify thy dwelling, O venerable Mother Gobnet, and were shown to be a steadfast protectress of the faithful, strengthening the weak and comforting the afflicted. Thou didst please Christ our God by thy life, intercede with him for the salvation of our souls. And then there's also the Kontakion in tone 3, which goes, endowed with compassion for with through faith and fasting, thou wast revealed as a refuge for those in distress, O Venerable Mother. By thy prayers thou didst drive away harm, and bring healings to those who call upon thee. Therefore intercede with Christ our God for those who honour thy holy memory. Do feel free to look up saintsoftheisle.substack.com if you want to read the other entries. I think the least I can do is give a shout out to them. There is a bonus entry for Saint Ekian, Bishop in Ireland. May those saints intercede for us before the righteous judge. I have been Rita Lazar. God bless you all, and Amen.